We have chosen a few typical and frequently occurring swing problems to show some ways how these can be corrected. Whether beginner or golf pro, topswing immediately gets the relevant motion across by using feel. It therefore enormously eases the learning process and, above all, the understanding of one of the most complicated motions in sports. Sometimes it is necessary to overly correct a swing in another direction because we misinterpret the feel we have while swinging. By directly experiencing an exaggerated correction, the golfer can much better differentiate between the accustomed and new swing feel. Every individual step of the golf swing is trainable with topswing. With this immediate feedback, the golfer can improve the swing much faster than previously possible. Probably the fastest way to learn and program a new motion is, after being led externally, to organize it internally and attempt to copy it. For example, this would mean the golfer would execute 3, 5 or 10 full or partial swings with topswing and thereafter hits 3, 5, respectively 10 balls, trying to repeat the motion just felt. An ideal training session would be as follows. The golfer and teacher analyze the ball flight and swing form. As soon as the teacher and student have agreed on what the ball flight problem is, the teacher can begin explaining instructions. As additional support, lines or arcs can be drawn on the video screen. The optimal execution then becomes reality using the topswing swing robot. Scooping and body weight back through impact. Scooping with the hands through impact can add loft to the club and lead to fat or thin shots. When the upper body stays back in a reverse C position during the forward swing, more loft is added. The topswing settings help the player to feel as if the club is being led through the impact with the back of the left hand. The player should use the left leg as a turning axis for the forward swing. The right body side comes all the way through. After this correction, shots become straighter, more powerful, and on a lower trajectory. Inside and across the line. This is a common fault for slices, but can also lead to hooked, pushed, fat, thin, and shanked shots. The club is swung too far to the inside as a result of too much arm rotation, where it's then lifted into a position showing way right off the target. This is the so-called across-the-line position. To get the player closer to the proper swing plane, set the topswing to exaggerate the opposite. During the takeaway, the club stays in front of the player with very little, if any, arm rotation. Then the topswing moves the club up one position flatter than what would be ideal. This move rotates the arm later in the backswing. The player can gain the feel and the image of swinging the club out, up and laid off. The correction will lead to better ball contact and straighter shots. Lifting the arms and loss of posture. This typical fault leads mainly to pulled, pull-hooked, pull-sliced, sliced and topped shots. Lifting the arms straight up with loss of posture and little or no body turn sets the club in laid-off position at the top. This combination leads to a forward swing which is too steep. To correct this, the topswing should move the club on a proper swing plane more around the body. The instructor can help the player to feel his shoulders turning, with the left shoulder being under the chin. This will help the player to maintain his posture throughout the swing and hit the ball with the club being on a shallower path. This will result in straighter shots. The club coming down from the outside. This fault results from a very steep downswing. The club is coming down on the top of the ball from the outside. This leads to pulled, pull-hooked, pull-sliced, sliced and topped shots. The cure for this is to get the player to feel that the club swings more down and from the inside at the start of the backswing. The professional gives the player a sense of staying back with his shoulders and encourages him to move the hips a little laterally on the downswing. This allows the arms to swing the club down and from the inside. The result will be straighter shots with a higher trajectory. The club coming down from the outside, closed and steep. As with the previous example, the club is coming down on the top of the ball from the outside. On top of this, the player releases the club early and rotates the club face in a closed position. This leads to pulled, pull-hooked and top shots. To give the player the proper swing feel, the top instructor moves his arm down at the start of the forward swing. The instructor encourages the player to rotate his arms clockwise. This brings the right elbow closer to the player's body, keeps the club face open, and delays the hit. After this correction, shots will have more power, be straighter, and fly higher. Hands high at impact, with the club coming too far from the inside. This is a fault more common with better players. At the top of the backswing, the club is in the across-the-line position. On the forward swing, the player drops the club to the inside and the club gets stuck behind him. This forces the player to flip his hands over the ball at impact, with the club swinging too much of an arc. The top swing settings help the player to re-rotate his left forearm down towards his side, instead of dropping the club from the top. This will result in the club getting more out and in front and shifts the club shaft onto the proper downswing plane. The club going inside and open on the takeaway. This common fault brings the player's club off plane at the backswing and can lead to shanks and loss of direction control. To get the player feeling how to swing his club square to the arc on the way back, rather than rotating it open, set the top swing to move his hands closer to the body and keep the club out and in front of him. This correction puts the club on the proper plane and allows the player to hit center and square. The club swinging to the inside with the bowed left wrist and a closed face. This fault can bring the player's club across the line at the top and can lead to a steep downswing. The correction with the top swing shows the player a proper takeaway. It combines the upward cocking of the player's wrists and the rotation of his left forearm with his shoulder turn. Everybody should practice this over and over again because it sets the club on the proper swing plane early in the backswing. The club too steep on the takeaway. If the club shaft is too upright in the middle of the backswing, this club will already be across the line. This results mainly in a steep forward swing with pulled, pull-hooked, pull-sliced and sliced shots. The setting of the topswing should rotate the player's left arm enough at the backswing. With this, the club will get on the proper plane. The instructor can help the player to feel the sense of turning his hips during the backswing. This will allow the player to turn his upper body better and swing the arms on an arc in front of his body. The immediate result of this correction will be straighter shots. The club too steep on the takeaway and the flying elbow at the top. As in the previous case, the topswing will bring the club on the proper plane early in the backswing. The player should develop a feel of having his right elbow pointing down towards the ground at the top of the backswing. This will allow him to swing his arms directly down and through the ball. Shallow topped ball. The club approaching the ball on a too flat plane causes this shot. To correct this fault, the player should learn to make a steeper arm swing and shoulder turn on the backswing. The topswing settings help to complete a better rotation of his left forearm at the beginning of the backswing. Furthermore, the player should have a feel of using his left leg as an axis for his forward swing. Body ahead of the ball at impact with delayed release. This shot is the result of a very steep forward swing. The club is coming almost straight down on top of the ball from outside. Through the delayed hit, this combination leads to topped, pulled, pull-hooked and pull-sliced shots with a very low trajectory. Top swing helps the player to feel swinging more from inside and underneath his backswing. The instructor supports the player to keep his body turn delayed. Top swing brings the club out and in a front position, which gives the player the sense of rotating his left arm down and into his side. Furthermore, the top swing releases the player's club early in the forward swing. These corrections will get the club on the proper swing plane and help the player to approach the ball on the correct angle, which will result in more solid shots. Left hand holding the club in the palm with a late set of the wrists during the backswing. This is a common fault for beginners. The grip in the palm of the left hand leads to a very late set of the wrists during the backswing and to a loss of the swing radius. The result is a loss of distance and top shots. To correct this, the instructor explains the concept of a proper grip, with the left hand gripped more in the fingers and the left wrist being more on the top of the club. The topswing setting gives the player the sense of a proper setting of the wrists during the backswing. Topswing sets the wrists earlier than usual during the backswing to exaggerate the feel of cocking the wrists. After an early set on the backswing, the player learns how to keep the swing radius constant. These corrections will lead to solid ball contact and increased distance. Reverse pivot. The reverse pivot is a common fault when the body weight moves to the left side on the backswing and then to the right side on the forward swing. The shoulders tilt rather than turn. This motion can lead to lack of distance, sliced and hooked, fat and thin shots. It also puts too much pressure on the player's lower back. To give the player a feel of turning, set the topswing to a proper radius for the particular player and encourage him to stand taller at the address. The golfer should gain the feeling that the left shoulder stays up as it turns behind the ball. The hips should turn instead to slide. Basically, having the swing radius set properly and with hips turning, it is impossible to make a reverse pivot with the topswing. The only way to do this would be if the golfer let go of the club. After the correction, the player should find it easier to feel the arm swinging the club around the body on an arc.